The final 8 are set. The quarterfinals kick off in just 2 days. I'm Adrian, and let's see who the final 2 teams are that have made it in. I mean, the thumbnail and the, the title probably spoiled that already, but let's go. Jogi Löw is finished as the German national team manager, literally, not maybe figuratively to some people as well. And England have advanced to the quarterfinals. It wasn't the most exciting match, not throughout at least. I mean, Monday's matches were always going to be a very near impossible act to follow. There was plenty of criticism of Southgate again, with people begging him not to play a back 3 and to allow Grealish, blah, 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 blah. He tuned that out, and credit to him, his plan worked. As for Germany, with their 3 at the back, it worked just once. Against Portugal. A reminder that Portugal managed to lose 4-2 to Germany, which is just more and more damning with every match that passes with Germany's involvement, by the way. But yeah, that was the only time that the back 3 really worked for them. The match against England wasn't packed with chances. England and Germany took turns generating chances in the first half, with Maguire having a header go wide. They finally look like they're figuring out their set pieces again, as they did at the 2018 World Cup. A big save being required of Manuel Neuer as well, as a shot was fired toward him from outside the 18. At the other end, a teasing ball from Kimmich to the back post went unmet by the Germans, by anyone actually, just bounced out. Really could have used a true number 9 out there at times. And Timo Werner had a decent chance that he would have liked a second crack at, but Pickford did extremely well to cut down the angle. And to be fair, I say they could have used a real number 9, but Kai Havertz played exceptionally well, I found, as far as the Germans go. Toward the end of the first half, you could absolutely argue that Calvin Phillips should have been sent off for going over the ball in his challenge on Cruz, and his studs finding the shin of the German midfielder. In the second half, Germany came close when Havertz fired a shot toward Pickford, but the Everton keeper just managed to touch it over the bar. But it was England who found the breakthrough when Kane rolled the ball to Grealish, who played through Shaw, and Shaw picked out Sterling for his 3rd goal of the tournament. 1-0 England. Right after that, Thomas Muller, of all people, messed up a 1v1 situation as he pulled it wide, and you just got the feeling that that would be it for the Germans. You miss that opportunity, and you give England a chance to bury you. You put that chance away, and perhaps the momentum shifts in your direction, and you go on to take the lead. The reaction from Muller following that miss? Full of experience, he is. I mean, it said it all. He knew that this would have been a turning point in the match. He knew how costly that would have been for Germany. And wouldn't you know it, we finally saw a goal from Harry Kane, another well-worked goal from England. Grealish involved once again as he put it on a plate for Kane. As for Germany, I was again amazed at how bad they looked. The 3-4-3 is just a disaster, as they seemingly have a 3-4-3 shape, but the midfielders are playing as if they were in a 4-2-3-1 or something, sitting right in front of the back line, and then just an incredibly large gap between them and the attackers. I mean, they made it easy for the England midfielders, as the German midfield was non-existent for the most part. There was no link between attack and defense, and it really showed with Germany's laborious ball progression. I mean, getting from defense to attack was often a long ball that the English backline could easily pick off, and when they attempted to pass it out and build from the back, the English press would more often than not pin them back. So a credit to Southgate for identifying this weakness, and another mark against Löw. Again though, it's not as if the Germans didn't have chances, as Löw himself pointed to with Werner and Muller, but they failed to take them, and they paid for it. The teams that are well organized and have a clear idea of what their approach and plan is have succeeded in this tournament. And you can't say that that has been the case for Germany with their 3-4-3, France in the first half using that 3 at the back formation against Switzerland, and then Portugal when it comes to having a plan for breaking down teams who sit deep. Individual talent can only take you so far, and it's nice to see the triumph of the collective rather than the most sexy team sheet. For the first time in this tournament, you could really see what England's plan was. You could see that they knew what their approach would be, and they executed it well. Partially aided by the non-existent midfield from the Germans, okay, but winning on their own merit as well. So fair play to them, absolutely deserved winners in this match, and they would wait to see who came out on top between Sweden and Ukraine, as they no doubt will love their chances on this side of the bracket. Sweden taking on Ukraine from Glasgow was the late kickoff and the final match to be played in the round of 16, and I thought that it was pretty decent. I mean, there were some people that were torching me saying it was awful, but I thought it was decent, at least for the first 70 minutes. It was a back and forth match. At times it was stretched, and both sides showed that they know how to attack, at least a bit. Not something you would always associate with Sweden, but they have legitimate talents going forward, don't they? But it was Ukraine who struck first as two of their own legitimate talents linked up. Yarmolenko drew a couple of defenders around him before hitting a Trivela cross across the box to Zinchenko, and his first time volley was hit with so much venom that despite Olsen getting a decent amount of it, it still went in. Cue a Zinchenko shush. Euro 2020 shush edition, man. Everyone is getting in on it. Forsberg did the opposite when he scored, though, his fourth goal of the tournament, which took a huge deflection on its way to the goal, but still, he's in some form, isn't he? Fantastic stuff from Forsberg there. And Sweden in general looked good going forward. Isak caused problems as per usual, unlucky not to get a goal as he had a strike just curl wide. Unlucky in general to not have scored in this tournament, but he has certainly left his mark and in general has looked great. A solid season with Sociedad, and he's continued on in this form at the international level, just missing that scoring touch. I can't stress enough how enjoyable this match was, though. I mean, at least, again, in the first 70 minutes. Two teams that set up well, Shevchenko in particular getting Ukraine's defensive shape down well, while Sweden weren't just sitting back and inviting pressure. I mean, not that we expected them to, but it's always a possibility. In the second half, Ukraine seemed to have targeted the left flank of Sweden, and they found a lot of joy down that side. Yarmolenko constantly drifting into wide positions to provide for his teammates, and in the 55th, he cut back to Sidorchuk, and his thunderous strike clanged off the outside of the post. Sweden almost immediately went in the other direction, and with Isak playing setup man again, Forsberg nearly got his fifth of the tournament with a curling effort that again went off of the woodwork. What a passage of play that was. And once again, I mean, you can't write this stuff. Emil Forsberg nearly opened the scoring with a smash from the edge of the box, stepping around two Ukrainian defenders. He fired on goal with power, had the keeper stranded, and it banged off the crossbar. So unlucky for him, as he has been fantastic for Sweden in this tournament. And this match, I mean, no exception here. Sweden took more and more control of this match as it wore on, and the Ukrainian attacks were fewer and further between. 4-2-3-1 going forward for Sweden, but their classic 4-4-2 to contain their opponent when in defense, and it was pretty effective at shutting down the Ukrainians before there was much danger. Ukrainians looked gassed at the end of this one, Yarmolenko especially, and they had to play another 30 minutes. Luckily for the Ukrainians, Danielson put in an unruly challenge and his studs were on the knee of his opponent as he was trying to clear the ball. His claim is he won the ball, but again, that doesn't put you in the clear, and the red card was deserved. Excessive force, endangering an opponent as your studs do not belong on the knee. Like I said on Twitter, intent literally doesn't appear in the laws of the game. Did Mane mean to hit Ederson in the face with his boot a few years ago? No, but he did, and he endangered his opponent by having his boot somewhere it shouldn't be, and so he was sent off, just like Danielson. Sometimes a red card seems unfair because there's no intent, and that definitely sucks for the player, but it's just how it is. If I accidentally rear end somebody, I'm still going to be on the line for it. That's unfortunate for me, but it was my error out of negligence to my surroundings or what have you. It sucks, but you gotta pay for it. Beshodin unfortunately was injured on the play, and it looks like he may have some knee ligament damage from those studs bending his knee backwards. Let's hope he has a swift recovery. For Anderson in Sweden, the timing couldn't have been worse, as he had just made 3 attacking substitutions, taking off the likes of Isak and Kulusevski, and from there not much happened in extra time, to be honest with you. The first 70 minutes or so of this match were great, but even with the man advantage, the Ukrainians weren't able to psych. In the dying seconds of extra time, a stunning ball in between the Swedish center backs from Zinchenko was headed in by Artem Dovbyk. Seams. Ukrainian limbs. I do feel bad for Sweden, as Forsberg was inches away from making it 2-1 on 2 occasions, and the Ukrainians looked sluggish and there for the taking. But they got the job done in the end, 2-1 Ukraine, the shootout cruelly taken away from Sweden, and Ukraine will face England in Rome. 3 of the 4 third-place teams advance, as my man Akshat Davala wrote. The only one that failed was Portugal, unfortunately for them. Man, I still can't believe Portugal lost 4-2 to Germany. But anyways, we'll have a preview out for you soon for all of the quarterfinals matches. Should be a good time. Other than that, do keep yourself safe over the next couple of days, and we'll check back in soon. Also, for all the members out there, the Q&A video will be out soon. My name's Adrian. I love ya. Goodbye.